Hello, Internet. I'm Craig.
And I'm Chris.
And this is the Craig and Chris Show. And today we're going to talk about Steam, the gaming service that has basically changed PC gaming forever.
Pretty much overnight.
Yeah,
Really.
pretty much overnight. Especially the new Steam announcement. That's exactly the Steam machine, the Steam operating system, the Steam controller. For those of you who aren't paying attention, which it wasn't heavily shared.
No.
But if you haven't been paying attention, PC gaming, in my opinion, is going to make a major comeback in the next couple of years. It's not going to happen overnight,
No.
but it is going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. This is going to change PC gaming.
It definitely looks that way. Some surprising stuff definitely was announced.
So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the stuff in the announcement. If you want to look at it yourself, because there's a lot of information on here, just go to store.steampower.com and you can look at their Steam machines. Now the first
We can
announcement...
provide a link to that, can't we?
I think so.
Link in the description.
Yes, okay. I think that would just make sense.
It would.
YouTubers. So if you're excited about Steam, and if you have any comments, just post them below while we're discussing it. Now, the Steam OS was their first announcement.
What is that?
The Steam OS is an operating system for a computer. Any
Okay.
computer.
Good. And
Okay.
What's the benefit of that?
Well, you know how traditionally when you're playing a game on a computer, right, you have to install Windows.
Yes.
Or you have to install Mac.
Yes.
Right, and then you go to the store, which you can't really do anymore with PC games. You go and download the game or buy the game, and you have to have the right operating system.
Yeah.
Well, Steam saw this problem and said, that sucks. Okay?
Okay.
What we're going to do is we're going to create our own operating system where people don't need Windows, and they don't need Mac, and they can still play all of the games on the Steam library, which is over 3,000 now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Steam is fantastic already.
Yes, so they've got thousands of games already available, and basically they said, okay, we'll just build your own gaming rig if you want,
Okay.
and we'll just give you the operating system for free.
Free is good.
And that's what they're going to do. They're just basically, it's open source and it's built on Linux.
Okay.
So there's a couple things going on here.
Sure.
As a nerd, that I get excited about. If it's open source, it means we can change it.
Tweak it and make it our own.
Right.
Sure.
Now, you're a fan of open source because of mods.
Sure.
Especially because even like the Mass Effect 3 mod, the happy ending mod.
Yeah, among others.
Well, the community can do things to
Yeah.
the system and the game, and you just don't get that kind of flexibility even with a console.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
So that's one of the main reasons.
Sure.
Second best reason is it's Linux.
Which is good.
Yeah, it's very good. Linux is very good because it gives you the efficiency.
Okay.
Okay, because it's programmed for a specific task. You don't have to have all the crap running in the background like you do on Windows and Mac. So the hardware that you install it on is going to run better.
Okay.
See what I mean?
That all sounds good.
And take better advantage of it.
Steam sales would be another one.
I know. No kidding. Yeah, I don't know if they knew this, but like some of those midweek madness deals they have
Yeah.
are just insane. I got so frustrated because I bought Max Payne 3 for my computer.
Yeah.
And then the next week they had the midweek madness on Steam. It was like, how much was it? Like 75% off. I could have bought
Wow.
it. Brand new game.
For like $5.
Yeah, it was like $10, $20 for a brand new game. And they do that every week with
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, it's not a good place for impulse buy people.
Yeah. So a
Go
couple
broke.
of features they announced with this Steam OS. It has in-home sharing or in-home streaming.
Okay.
So let's say you have a better computer, like a huge horsepower machine.
Okay.
And all you have is a little Steam box, and your Steam box with the Steam operating system on it's hooked up to your TV in your living room. But you want to play a really graphically intensive game.
Sure.
You can actually run the game on your big game system in your basement or wherever it's at in your computer room, and you can actually stream it straight to your Steam box on your television.
Okay, and to be clear, see, I first thought that you needed a computer and the Steam box to play, that the Steam box just streamed from your computer, but you're saying that it plays it separately.
Yes, that's a
So
separate
the Steam
feature.
box can play it separately.
The Steam box is its own game console.
See, I
or
thought you
game system,
needed
game
the
operating
PC.
system.
At first, I thought you needed the PC to play.
And it is kind of confusing how they word it on here because it makes it say, it says you can play all your Windows and Mac games on your SteamOS machine. But see, then they add a comma 2.
Yes.
So you can play it on your SteamOS machine as well as play games
That's
directly
fantastic.
on. So let's say you got all your games on your Windows or Mac already.
Sure.
You don't have to buy them again on the SteamOS,
Yeah.
is what they're saying. So if you've already got a Mac or PC with a bunch of games on it, you can just stream it straight from that device to the Steam box without having to
Now-
repurchase the game. a
You
second
might not
time.
know this, but does that count for games that are not on Steam?
Any game. Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
So,
Good point.
yeah.
So that's another problem Steam has is a lot of the game developers don't want to give them the game because they're trying to start their own service.
EA.
EA Origin, for example. I'm sure all of you had a pleasant experience with Origin. So, but that was always a big problem they had was that they don't get all the games. Some developers don't even give them to them.
Yeah,
so
some
this
withholding.
this would be a good solution to that problem as
Yeah.
well. So if the game's not available on Steam,
That's also a good
you
thing.
can stream it from your other box. It can do music, TV and movies, but what can't these days?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that they'll integrate things like Netflix and Hulu and all that as well.
I can't imagine they won't.
Yeah,
That's-
well, and the nice thing about it being open source is that it's not going to be strapped down. Like Microsoft will come in and say, yeah, we'll do Netflix, but we're not going to do Amazon because it's not in our best interest to have two competing vendors.
Sure.
This being open platform, it's like it's going to have add-ons for probably every imaginable service.
Yeah.
Because it's Linux. You know, they're not going to lock it
And
down.
that is a big thing that Microsoft does, is if there's a competing thing, they don't support it, like, at all.
Yeah.
So,
Or they
like
charge
the phones
extra
and
or
stuff.
something.
And,
Yeah. So we don't. That takes you out of that environment.
Yeah.
That's nice. Family sharing, we've talked about previously.
family sharing is also good.
In the past, sharing Steam games with your family member was hard. Now you can share the games you love with the people you love. Family sharing allows you to take turns playing one another's games while you're earning your own Steam achievements and save your individual game progress to the Steam cloud.
That's good.
So that's kind of cool. It's like sharing a gamer tag, essentially, but not having your own identity, but you can share the games between multiple identities in your family.
Sure.
Awesome. Family options. Living room is family territory, that's great, but you don't want to see your parents' games in your library. No. Soon, families will have more control over what titles get seen by whom, and more features allow everyone in the house to get the most out of their Steam library.
That's fantastic. That is great.
So,
Because I have, brothers and stuff who we all kind of shared the same iTunes account for a while before everyone got their own.
Mhm.
And so I got a ton of crap that's just stuck there that I don't really like or want. And so that's definitely cool to be like, well, these are my games and I have no interest in playing Dora's Ultimate Adventure or something.
dude, I love that game.
And vice versa. You don't want your kids seeing,
Yeah, well, I mean, some of the covers now have half-naked people on it, too, and if you got,
Yeah.
like, a 5-year-old little brother,
Sure.
you don't want all that on there. So that's
Very
just
cool.
the operating system. This was the first announcement they made. Okay,
Wow.
The operating system is an exciting thing because we're going to move into their next feature that they announced, and that would be their Steam Machine. Now, people originally thought that the Steam Machine, or the Steam Box, as they called it, was just going to be just a gaming console with Steam able to run on it.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? But now what they're suggesting is that they're basically strategizing the way that Google, and Google Plus is probably going to love this, you guys on Google Plus, they're basically doing the Android strategy. Okay? So they're saying, hey, we are going to create the platform for PC gaming for the future with our operating system. And then we're going to install it on our prototype, that's actually how they worded it, our prototype Steam Machine system. Okay? This is going to be a demonstration to the world of how the Steam Machine will work. Okay?
Very cool.
This hardware isn't going to be locked down.
Yeah.
This is completely open. They even say they've encouraged people to hack it and modify it, and this
Sure.
is part of their deal. We want to create an example of how the new gaming for PC console is going to be in the living room. And what's going to happen is all the third-party vendors that are making computers and hardware, maybe even mobile phones, are going to jump into this market and say, okay, well, we can create our own Steam box now,
Yeah.
right? Motorola or whoever decides to do it. You can have all these computer manufacturers, Dell, IBM, Lenovo, same thing, HP. And pretty much anybody who creates computers, even us out of our garage, are
Cool.
allowed to create Steam boxes.
Okay.
You know, we can start our own business
Making Steam boxes.
making Steam boxes. And their idea is to create the platform that it's all built on.
Okay.
So they announced the Steam machine, and it is in beta. So if people want to sign up, you can actually log in here and you go through their little steps to qualify for the beta. They're going to send out 300 of them by the end of this year, and they're going to be using it as feedback in order to finalize the Steam box
Okay.
architecture.
That's good.
So it's an exciting prospect because we're no longer going to be saying if we want to go out and buy a video game console, we don't have to go to Sony, we don't have to go to Microsoft.
Sure.
The platform becomes everybody can go
Right.
out and buy their own, but they'll all work together because they all run on the same operating system.
And with the streaming, you're not limited to graphics are never limited for 5 years, 7 years out.
Correct. Or nice thing about, like we were saying with all the competitors graphically,
Yeah.
the hardware, when all these developers start building their own systems, just like with Android, the cost is going to get driven down
Yeah.
for the hardware. Because as more and more phones hit the market and the technology rapidly develops, more and more developers find more cost-effective ways to jam the horsepower so that they can one-up the other guy.
Yeah.
That's why the phones you see now for Android, hardware-wise, are so spectacular compared to like Apple. Apple
Yeah.
progresses a lot slower in the hardware market
Oh yeah.
because there's not as much competition
Yeah.
between devices.
Well, and another thing that's good is also price-wise of games. I mean, even without the Steam sales, PC games are usually at least $10 cheaper, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, especially versus consoles.
So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So
And they always do the bundle deals and stuff. Steam's so good about the deals.
Yes,
It's-
they are.
It's unbelievable.
I
Like,
bought so much stuff that it was just like, oh hell, fine.
well, then there's that issue of backwards compatibility too.
Yep.
That becomes a non-issue
Yeah.
because Steam supports like games all the way back to Doom 1.
Yeah.
You know, all the original. Heck, which one did I just get? The Quake. I can get Quake all the way back, but you'll actually be able to boot up your Steam console and actually play all of those older games.
Sure.
And since it's an open operating system, I'd be curious if you can like install emulators and ROMs on it too.
That would be interesting to know. And it's open source, so who knows?
A community member will probably come up with an add-on for that.
Yeah, it's possible.
So it makes it. And maybe I'm wondering if they're gonna. It would be kind of cool. I'm kind of digressing here. If they said, okay, well, let's take this platform, let's make a marketplace for it. You see what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like much like Android did.
Yeah.
Like so, the community can contribute apps
Sure.
and add-ons to the marketplace, and then you can actually install them on your Steam box as add-on features.
Yeah.
So I would hope that they would do something like that because that would be awesome.
Yeah, it would be.
That'd be cool. I'd be into that. Okay. Well, we're going way over on this one. Okay, but there's a lot of
material.
stuff to cover here. So the Steam box hardware, nothing specific. So they're pretty much open when it comes to computers. Now, finally, probably the most interesting thing
I certainly think so.
is what's the biggest problem with playing a computer on your home television in your living room? Would you say?
The biggest problem for me playing it, lack of controller.
Lack of controller, right? That's one of the most frustrating things. Mouse and keyboard setups are difficult.
At the very least, to win over the console people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The big thing for me as a predominantly more console gamer, the big thing is my big screen, a couch to just sit back on and a controller. That's to me would be the biggest issue.
Well, they knew that
They knew
because what they said here, it says, we set out with a singular goal: bring the Steam experience in its entirety to the living room. We knew how to build the user interface, how to build the machine, and even the operating system, but still left input our biggest missing link. We realized that early on in our goal, we required a new kind of input technology, one that could bring the gap from the desk to the living room
Yep.
without compromises. So we spent a year experimenting with new approaches, input, and now I believe we've arrived at something. I'm probably allowed to show this picture, right? Am I allowed to show this picture
I don't know.
legally? That sucks.
I can throw up a screenshot.
Okay, well, this controller looks crazy. It's got track pads on it instead of the joysticks.
The joysticks, yeah.
And it's actually got a central touchscreen on the center console that, from what they're saying, is completely programmable by the game
Yeah.
developers. Plus, it's got R and L. It's got 4 buttons above the trackpads.
Well, and you can already, I mean, from the design, you can already kind of tell what's what. I mean, that's clearly settings there, and
yeah, and then
there's a talk
I wish
box.
we could show them this, but the idea here is that they've developed a controller that is supposed to re-simulate the PC experience.
Sure.
They want to have the same. They made a huge emphasis on, like with me with the mouse and keyboard, the responsiveness,
And that is, yeah, that's true.
and that's what they've been kind of
So
set
now
up to do.
will this be at least closer to mouse and keyboard? Is their idea?
Their idea is that it should eventually someday
And-
replace
Oh, okay.
mouse and keyboard.
Can you still use a mouse and keyboard?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. That's in the frequently asked questions.
best
here.
of both.
You know what's cool about this controller too? You don't have to have a Steam box to use it. This controller you can buy for your PC.
Oh, okay. That's very
So
good.
if you've already got a computer and you've got Steam installed on it, you can actually just buy the controller to play the games,
Okay.
and you can hook your computer up to your TV and just play on your TV.
Play as normal. Okay.
So this
That's
is
very
not something that you have to use, but it's designed in a way where everybody can use it.
cool. See, I think what's particularly cool about this one is if you look at the recent generations of console and stuff, the controller is probably the thing that they're least innovative on.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it
I
just
agree
seems
with
like
that.
controllers have stayed in one place, and I was telling you this earlier. Like PlayStation still has the left, right, up, down D-pad in the prime spot. They still have the joysticks way down here, and to me, that's not really my favorite part of it. I mean, and no one uses the D-pad like they used to. It's usually just to switch weapons and things like that. But yet, it's still on Sony's gets that prime spot.
And which I don't get either. You just do not get the. I was resistant to that because I grew up with the D-pad.
Mm-hmm.
So when the joystick first hit, really it was the
Yeah.
Nintendo 64,
Yeah.
right? That was the first real
Yeah.
experience with the joystick that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
But the responsiveness is better. It is a better solution
It is.
than the D-pad. Across the board, it's just better control.
Yeah.
Because you got more sensitivity, you got more direction, there's just a lot more there to
Yes.
offer. And I don't understand why PlayStation still clings on to it. And maybe it's just
Well,
user.
and the
user
the
resistance.
new ones, even like Xbox One and PlayStation 4, still not that innovative. I
No.
mean, they just look like a newer version of this, whereas the Steam controller looks. I mean, there's not even sticks on it.
No, there's no
It's just got the little
joysticks.
pads and
It's
it
no
definitely
joysticks. It's
looks-
all touch sensitive. Another thing they added in here is that it's not just the touchscreen. They've got a whole new haptic system, the feedback,
okay.
haptic feedback. They have multiple magnet motors in it,
Okay.
which are supposed to actually give you a full range vibration feedback.
Oh, okay. So it's a little bit more.
It's a lot more immersive when it's
Sure.
supposed to be a lot more immersive when it comes to getting feedback from the game in 3D experience. So you can actually get a full range of vibrational feedback. On your
Okay,
controller.
that's pretty cool. I know Xbox One had a new thing that they were talking about in theirs, where they had a vibrating motor in the triggers.
Oh,
So
that's a
that's-
cool idea.
Their idea was, depending on which gun you're shooting or something, if you're shooting a pistol, it's going to give you a different vibration through the
Sweet.
trigger than a rocket launcher.
Oh,
So, and this seems
clever.
like that takes that to another level even from
Gaming
that.
is in a fun place. So again, the touchscreen's in the middle like that because
Yeah.
the touchscreen's completely customizable for the vendor. They said that they wanted to create an experience where you didn't have to use the dashboard button. You didn't have to
Okay.
pause your game. You could still go through your friends list and stuff and connect with people, or
Without disrupting.
disrupting your
Sure.
gaming experience was kind of what they were going for. And then they also made it so you could actually scroll through your library, or you could look at other stuff, maybe play music off your computer, while you're playing your game. So you can do all that without it interrupting your gaming experience. So a lot of good things coming out from this announcement, and you don't see a lot of people
The
talking
one thing
about
I'm
it.
curious to see with this is communication. That's something that they need to, start covering a little bit more. Did they mention that? Like, how am I going to be able to communicate with my friends?
They have a built into it. They have a push to talk button.
Okay, but usually with a PC, my headset is hooked up to my computer. If you do the Steam box, how is like the headset going to work?
That's a good question because I don't see
Be
at
on the
this
lookout.
time. I don't see at this time a controller jack. Doesn't mean it's not there because I'm
Mhm.
looking at the the actual bindings.
Well, even if it connects to the Steam box at your TV, it's better than if I have to connect to my PC, that's not going to work.
Right, or maybe they'll have integrated like Bluetooth for headsets.
And that would be cool.
Because it's a Steam box, you can put anything you want in it.
I get, yeah.
So you could I could take my Bose headset that I use for my phone, I could actually use it on the Steam box.
Wow.
Since it's Bluetooth. The possibilities are kind of limitless if you have computer hardware.
With this controller, and I might be getting ahead of myself or your knowledge on this, are the controls for the controller, can you alter the bindings like you would on the keyboard?
You can do that in the current Steam setting they have now. You can actually set up the controller. Because right now Steam has a feature called Big Picture. Okay, and they had mentioned it in this announcement. Big Picture's been out for about a year, and it lets you use Steam on your TV, and it lets you use a controller with bindings on select games. Not all of them yet.
Now this is going to work.
This controller is going to work for all of them. It's designed to replace the mouse and keyboard, so it doesn't require traditional keyboard
your existing controller, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So, and actually, you can use an Xbox controller, I think. Yeah. With the
I think that's more of a Windows thing. So if they're switching away from that,
well, yeah, they're going to move away from it. But even now, the Big Picture on the traditional Steam, you have to buy a Windows Steam controller.
Yeah.
No, Windows Xbox controller. So it's got to get the USB receiver.
Yeah.
But you can actually use it in Steam right now. Your Xbox controller for people who love the Xbox controller. So there's a lot of exciting things coming. Yeah. We went way over, way over.
Yeah.
But we wanted to cover everything, and I'd really be curious what people think about this. I think it's going to be a game changer for PC across the board.
Yeah, I think it could be for consoles as well.
Steam's already pretty much stole the market for PC gaming, so the gamers are already there.
I think, yeah.
It's not like they need to draw in the audience.
No. Their reputation is far better than most in gaming right now.
It is. They're the best company out there when it comes to this. But they've never really had anything to offer us as far as a console's concerned. They don't make machines,
Yeah.
They just offered us the interface, and that seems to be what they're still doing. They're creating the experience. Yeah. So, good job, Steam.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Definitely.
Thumbs up on that one.
Even from a console thing, I think this is definitely something to keep your eye on.
Yes, I think I might I discussed this with him before. I may hold off on my PlayStation 4 just to see how it goes, because it's still going to be a couple more years before it matures.
Yeah.
This isn't something that's just going to happen. We released the OS, everybody's got great gaming consoles now. It's going to be just like Android, it's going to take a few years for it to the technology to mature.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to happen rapidly.
I think so, and a lot of people are excited. So, and that'll cause movement just from sheer excited.
Oh yes. I think I'll at least have the OS on something.
Yeah.
So that's all there is for today's video of the Craig and Chris show.
And it was a lot.
Lots we covered, and hopefully it didn't drive you absolutely insane. But it's exciting, to say the least.
Definitely.
And what do you guys think? Is this going to be a deal breaker for some people? Well, probably for some people, but do you think it's actually going to make the PC a competitor in the console wars? Because that's the request. Right now, it's not.
Yeah.
Right now, PC doesn't even come close to the numbers.
Certainly from winning over console people,
Yeah.
It's definitely was a hard market. I personally think things may be changing. I'm certainly looking at this myself.
I hope we go back 2 years later and we watch this video and we go, wow, we were right. And not, crap, Steam really dropped the ball on that one.
I doubt they'll drop the ball.
I doubt they will too. So thanks for coming out, guys, and we will see you in the next video.
See you there.
Ish.
Yes.